All right, so here we're gonna perform a deadlift. Now you can perform this with a barbell or a kettlebell or even a dumbbell. Again, it doesn't really matter. Your muscles do not know what you're lifting. It's only gonna change the intensity of the exercise. So we wanna start feet about hip width apart, toes facing perfectly straight forward. And we're gonna start with that barbell or kettlebell or dumbbell directly on the shins, okay? We want it nice and close to your body. The goal is to perform a lift where you're making a straight line up, driving through your hips, and that barbell or kettlebell is meeting you at your hips. So again, you want to keep that bar close to you. One thing you can imagine is driving your elbows back to create tension in your shoulders and your upper back, because we want to support the upper back to prevent that rounding, especially when we're lowering the barbell. So here we are performing a sumo deadlift. So again, the mechanics, the fundamentals are the same. The only difference is the foot position. This is going to activate your hamstrings a little bit more in the inside of your legs. It should also be an easier lift for most of you. So if you're having trouble bending over or hinging your hips by shooting your butt back, try the sumo deadlift. Come out a little bit wider. It's okay to point those toes a little bit out, and sit down more like a squat. You may find that is a little bit easier for you starting out. All right, so when lifting a barbell, you have several different grip methods that you can do, and you might find one of these more comfortable than another. You can go overhand, overhand. This is how I would recommend most of you starting, just because it's the most basic grip. As you get stronger and the weight gets heavier, you can switch to a flip grip, which is one hand over the bar and one hand under the bar. This shouldn't be necessary for most of you. Once you get over to about like 200 pounds, 225 pounds, that's when you're gonna wanna start using that flip grip. Or if you're having issues with your grip strength, you can use that flip grip as well. The only other version of the grip is taking those thumbs to the outside. That's called a hook grip. It just gives you more surface area on the bar. So if you're better at squeezing your hand and making a hook to hold the weight, then go for it. Otherwise, you want to go ahead and wrap those thumbs as you would normally hold any other dumbbell or barbell. So just like I said earlier, you can perform a deadlift with a kettlebell, a barbell, or even a dumbbell. Here I'm using a kettlebell, and we're doing what's called a split deadlift, where we're targeting one side of the body. So again, we're going to hinge the hips, push the butt out. We want to create that tabletop back to where we could set like a glass of water on our back, and it would be totally steady. We're going to keep all our weight in that front leg. Back leg is just for balance. So we're just going to put toes up. Again, feet about hip width apart, perfectly aligned. You're going to drive up through your hips, squeezing your glutes and your core to lift that weight and meet it at your hips. Okay, here we're going to perform a glute bridge. Again, you can use whatever you want to do the exercise. Here I'm using a barbell, and they make these little pads that if the bar is a little hard on your hips, you just put that pad over it, it'll pad you up. You're gonna load it centered mass, all right? Pull those shoulders back. As we drive our hips up and squeeze our glutes, what I want you to imagine is clicking your heels together. So your feet are hip width and you're squeezing your heels together. They're not actually moving, but that's what I want you to imagine to create that tension and torque to drive the weight towards the sky. Same motion as the deadlift, only gravity is working for us to hinge our hips, and we have a couple more pivot points by keeping those shoulders on the back of the bench. So core is ever so important. As always, we want to make sure you're squeezing your core to support your spine so that you protect it. And then right here is just the variation of how to do it with a dumbbell. I would start seated first this time, unless you can roll that dumbbell onto your lap. And on this one, I'm going to roll it a little bit higher up onto my quads, just because it tends to get in the way if you keep it right on your hips. So roll it up. You're going to perform the exercise the same way, exhaling to the top, squeezing those glutes.